Post-war Italy was emerging from one of the darkest periods in its recent history. World War II had left deep scars not only on the urban fabric but also on the country's collective soul. Reconstruction was a moral and material imperative. Amid this landscape of ruins and hope, Italy witnessed the birth of the Republic, a new political system that promised democracy and freedom. This radical change profoundly affected every aspect of society, including cultural production. Post war literature was characterized by a strong civic commitment. Writers felt called to take a stand, not to remain indifferent to the challenges of their time. The pen became an instrument of active participation. Many authors were direct or indirect witnesses to the atrocities they experienced. They had witnessed violence, destruction, and persecution, and this drove them to narrate reality without filters. Their personal experiences merged with historical accounts. Their primary goal was to tell and denounce, to bring to light uncomfortable truths, and to give a voice to those who had lost it. They wanted the memory of the victims and the horror of the events to never be forgotten. It was an act of collective responsibility. The ultimate goal was to contribute to the moral and social reconstruction of the country. Through their works, the writers intended to stimulate critical reflection and foster the birth of a renewed civic conscience. Literature became an ethical guide. In this context, Neorealism emerged as the dominant literary movement of the period. It represented a break with previous forms of expression, seeking a more direct connection with lived reality. Neorealism was the first and most significant expression of this renewed civic commitment. Its aesthetic was intrinsically linked to the urgency of bearing witness and intervening in public debate. It gave form to indignation and hope. This movement's approach was a raw and realistic analysis of reality. Neorealist writers did not seek escapism or idealization, but rather strove to depict the daily lives of ordinary people with authenticity and rigor. Among the neorealist authors, Primo Levi stands out, his work a cornerstone of 20th century literature. His testimony is crucial to understanding the horrors of the last century. If This Is a Man is his seminal work, a book that transcends mere narrative to become a universal document. Through its pages, Levi offered the world a lucid and harrowing account. The central theme of this book is the testimony of the horror of deportation and life in the extermination camps. Levi recounts the progressive dehumanization, the loss of identity, and the struggle for survival in extreme conditions. His experience in the concentration camp profoundly affected his life and consequently his writing. That inhuman reality transformed him, making him a necessary spokesperson for memory. His is a wound that will never heal. Primo Levi's style is characterized by a spare and lucid narrative, devoid of rhetoric and sentimentality. His prose is dry, almost scientific, but its devastating power lies precisely in this essentiality. Words are stones. Levi's purpose was twofold. On the one hand, to serve as a warning against oblivion, ensuring that future generations would never deny or forget what happened. He was a voice against historical revisionism. On the other hand, his work is a profound exploration of the human condition at its limits. Through his analysis, Levi sought to understand what it means to be human when every dignity and every right is systematically denied. Another great narrator of that period is Beppe Fenoglio, who dedicated much of his work to the resistance and the partisan war. His is an authentic and unmistakable voice of the fight for freedom. The central theme of his works is the story of the resistance, experienced with Fenoglio's direct participation. He narrates the experiences of the partisans, their difficult choices, and their lives of hardship and courage. The focus of his narratives is the moral and psychological complexity of the fighters. Fenoglio explores the motivations, doubts, and contradictions of men forced to make extreme decisions. His characters are tormented and authentic. His style is characterized by dry, direct prose, reflecting the immediacy and harshness of partisan life. His language is spare, unadorned, almost colloquial, yet highly expressive. This style authentically conveys the harshness of partisan life. The reader is immersed in a world of difficult choices, sacrifices, and violence, without any sugarcoating of reality. Through his novels, Fenoglio reveals the contradictions of conflict, showing how even a just war has shadows and unjustified suffering. His vision is never Manichaean but always nuanced. Italo Calvino, too, while evolving into other forms, began his career with neorealist works. His ability to adapt and experiment has made him one of the most influential writers. In his early years, his themes explored the social and political reality of the post-war period. Calvino confronted the country's problems, trying to make sense of the chaos and hope of the period. His exemplary work from that period is The Path to the Nest of Spiders, a novel that captures the essence of the resistance through an unusual lens. It was one of his first successes. The perspective adopted is that of the resistance seen through the eyes of a child. This choice allows Calvino to explore complex themes with a disenchanted innocence, offering a fresh and surprising vision. In this context of renewal and commitment, Pier Paolo Pasolini emerges as a key figure of the period. His intellectual figure was central and often controversial, a catalyst for debate. Pasolini's work is characterized by its versatility and provocative nature. A writer, poet, director, and journalist, Pasolini used every means of expression to question and critique his era. His primary focus was a critique of consumer society, which he saw as a destructive and homogenizing force. Pasolini denounced the commodification of every aspect of existence and its rampant superficiality. A secondary focus of his analysis was Italy's anthropological transformation. He observed with concern the profound changes in the character and values of Italians, transformed by the advent of prosperity. His critique lashed out against cultural homogenization, the loss of local identities and regional distinctiveness. Pasolini feared that progress would lead to impoverished standardization. He deplored the loss of traditional values, particularly those associated with the peasant and proletarian world, which he considered authentic and vital. He saw a genuine and rooted Italy disappearing. Pasolini denounced the advent of a massified society where individuals were losing their individuality, absorbed into a single, indistinct mass. Television and consumerism were the new idols. The causes of this massification were, for Pasolini, the dominance of consumerism and the pervasive influence of television. These new powers shaped minds and desires, creating artificial needs. Pasolini employed a wide range of expressive tools for his criticism: novels, films, and journalistic writings. Each form was a vehicle for his tireless intellectual and moral battle. His scathing indictment of the power and hypocrisy of institutions and the bourgeoisie was unflinching. He did not hesitate to point the finger at the distortions and lies he perceived in the society of his time. He blamed the loss of identity of the Italian people, which he saw as distorted and corrupted by new development models. His was a cry of alarm for a national soul in danger. Pasolini's vision was often pessimistic, imbued with a profound melancholy for a world he felt he had lost. He looked to the future with apprehension, foreseeing dangerous drifts. His analysis of social and cultural transformations was profound and merciless. Pasolini had the ability to anticipate phenomena that would become evident only years later, revealing a keen insight. All his work was set in the context of the Italy of the economic boom, an era of rapid growth and apparent success, which Pasolini was able to read with a critical eye, beyond the shiny facade. In short, the role of post war literature was to be the voice of an essential civic commitment. It was not a mere aesthetic exercise, but a moral necessity for the country's rebirth. The contribution of writers was fundamental to the construction of a collective memory. They offered the country a wealth of stories and reflections essential for not forgetting the mistakes of the past. Through their works, the authors have stimulated profound reflection on the country's transformations. They have helped Italy understand itself, its traumas, and its new directions. The impact of this literature has been and continues to be a stimulus for critical debate on Italian society. Their voices still resonate today, inviting us to question the present with the same lucid honesty.